Smith, a young programmer who works at Blue Book Company, wins a programming competition. And the prize is a one-week stay at the private property of the CEO of the company. Nathan Bateman is out of the city where he has to go by helicopter. When he goes to the door, the smart system recognizes him and scans his face and gives a key card for his entry and exit. After entering the house, he faces with Nathan. Although he is Caleb's CEO and chairman, he treats friendly and wants to get closer. Caleb's fear is gone. He explains to Caleb that the key card directs him where he can go and where he can't. If he can open a door with it, then he can enter it. Nathan takes him to his room, a room with no windows and strong walls that keeps him and his researches out of any contact with the outside. Nathan puts a contract in front of Caleb, where Caleb signs a pledge not to transfer or non-disclosure any information out there, never ever. Nathan tells him that the reason he's there is to take the Turing test, a test that a human communicate with computer. If a person doesn't know or don't realize that they're communicating with a computer, the test will be successful. And passing the test tells us that the computer has artificial intelligence. Caleb just realizes that Nathan invented artificial intelligence and he is going to be the human element of the Turing test. Nathan explains to him that if he succeeds, he will be in the greatest scientific event in human history. And Caleb is so excited that he tells Nathan that if he were able to build artificial intelligence, not just in human history but it will also be the greatest event in the history of the gods. At first meeting, Caleb enters a room that is separated from the interior of a room with glass. On the glass has trauma and cracking, and there he faces with Ava. He merely asks Ava some questions about Ava's name, age, and how Ava talks. Then he talks to Nathan that the artificial intelligence he has created is like a mirror. Caleb is very impressed. He says that in the Turing test, the machine must be hidden from the examiner, but Nathan tells him that if Turing test be only sound, everyone minds it human is only a man. However, you see that a machine but you suppose it as a human, or at least you don't realize it as a robot. Caleb wants to tell about his linguistic talking system, but Nathan asks him the question, how did he feel? Caleb replies that it was a wonderful coincidence. On the first night, Caleb can't sleep well. He turns on the television and sees the Ava by a camera which is placed in Ava's room. Suddenly the power goes out, the doors are locked during the power outage and he fears he won't be able to leave his room, but after a few moments the power is back on. He exits room to take a look around. He sees the phone and when he wants to use, but Nathan calls him from behind and tells him that because of the same security issues, he can't make any phone calls. Then Caleb asks him about the power outage, and he says, it has happened several times lately and is trying to solve the problem. Caleb asks about the reason locked in. Nathan says that because of security issues, naturally, after a power outage, if it causes all the doors to open, anyone can come in by cutting the power and that's just a deterrent. The next morning, Kyuko, a Chinese waitress, enters Caleb's room and brings his coffee. Nathan tells him what he wants to do on the second day. Caleb believes that the conversation experiment with Ava is a closed loop. It's like testing a chess computer as long as you play chess with him in a closed loop. You got it. Nathan asks him how to test a chess computer. Then Caleb tries to explain how to do this. But Nathan wants him to be simple. He wants simple answers to simple questions, like the first day he asked, how you felt, and he answered. And now the next question, how does Ava feel about him? In the second session, Ava shows him a painting that has a vague shape, tells him that she paints every day, but she doesn't know what she drew. Ava asks Caleb to tell her what to draw, and Caleb replies, as you wish. Obviously, Ava is upset by his behavior. Caleb tries to fully put himself in the position of tester, but Ava soon realizes this and asks him to let me know more about you. Caleb asks her where to start, and Ava answers that it's up to him. Caleb talks about himself, his name, age, workplace, city of residence, singleness, and his parents. When he was 5 years old, when his parent died in an accident. He was also in the car and he spends a lot of time in the hospital, from where he practices and learns coding, and continue it at the university. He currently works at Blue Book. Nathan. Caleb asks her, is he a good programmer like Nathan? Ava says he's good, but not as much Nathan. He was able to write Blue Book at 13, so he's definitely better. Ava asks, is Nathan his friend? A good friend? Caleb's explaining about yes, but because he hasn't known him for a long time. At this moment, the power goes out and the cameras became off. Ava gets up and tells Caleb, he's wrong about Nathan, he's not his friend. He must not trust him or his words. Caleb is surprised which electricity is plugged in. Ava is talking unclear about music and books, which it's better to have the favorite list of each other. At dinner, Kyoko pours Caleb's liquor over him. Caleb tries to talk to her. Nathan says he doesn't understand English and just gives him the handkerchief. Continuing their talk. Nathan says that even though he spent a lot of money on the generator, it's still broken, and prefers not to bring anyone to repair it until end of the research, might he access to the information. Then Nathan asks him about the second day. He told Nathan that the same things he saw on camera. Nathan confirms but wants to hear from him. Caleb is looking for something that merely answered him. He says that he made a joke and that Ava was able to do it with her own mind and brain, and it's the most important sign of artificial intelligence. Then Nathan asked him about when the power went out. But Caleb gives him no answer, merely saying nothing happened. At night, Caleb watches Ava through the camera again. He comes out of his room and sees Nathan at his doorstep. And tells him that he wants to show him something. Nathan will take him to the construction site of Ava, the site of artificial intelligence. He explains that he's trying to get information from all humans by hacking the smartphones and digital systems. The Blue Book operating system was able to build an intelligent brain for Ava. In third session, Ava shows Caleb her new painting, as Caleb asked him to draw something known. Caleb asks her, has she ever been out there? Ava says no. He asks, if she goes outside, where does she want to go first? Ava responds to a crossroads with too many people, then asks Caleb can they meet there? Caleb responds, is it a date? Ava asks Caleb to close his eyes, and after he opens it, she shows him something but don't laugh. Ava goes to her room and dresses and puts hair on her head, based on a human hairstyle. She doesn't look very different from a real human with this dress and hair. She wears it. Ava finds out Caleb is interested in her and asks her questions, and Caleb tries to deny it at first, but his behavior is too clear. At night, Caleb sees her again on camera, and when Ava takes off her clothes, he is irritated. The next morning, Caleb talks to Nathan about why he should be sexting for a machine with artificial intelligence. It could be a gray box. Nathan talks about what is wrong with it. He adds, the most important thing is, she's a robot but you're interested to her. Caleb tells him, my main question is that you gave him sex as a human. A technique for distraction, but Nathan says you don't have a reason to like someone or something, you like Ava, that's all. He goes on to say that Ava is not programmed to flirt or deceive him, and if she likes him, it's natural. Because, apart from Nathan, who is considered her father, he is the only person she has ever seen, and this is natural. Caleb's fourth session is about a test that his teacher gave them in artificial intelligence lesson. He tells Ava that she isn't a human being as long as she's there. He says that the reason he is here is to test you, to make sure you have an unconscious conscience. Then he asks how she feels about it. Ava says she's sad. Nathan and Kyoko hear their conversation and the power cuts off. Caleb asks her about her previous words during the power outage. Ava says Nathan lied about everything. Caleb worries that even this power outage may be Nathan's own programming, but Ava says she causes for power outage and Nathan doesn't. After the fourth session, Caleb asks Nathan in outdoors that the match he won was an important match that everyone could be winner, so why did he choose him? Nathan replies, that's the difference, you didn't win, you were chosen, because you were the smartest programmer for his company and the best person to challenge Ava. At night, Caleb sees on television Ava's room and Nathan goes to her and rips her painting. And goes out of her room. Caleb gets to Nathan's room. Kyoko is there, trying to let him know where Nathan is. But she thinks he wants to have sex, so she wants to take off her clothes, but Caleb stops. Nathan comes in. Nathan is drunk, and Caleb asks him about why he tore up the painting of Ava. He doesn't give answer and starts dancing with Kyoko. Then Caleb escorts Nathan into his room, where he sees the location of the main surveillance system and the security of the building is there. Fifth session, Ava wants to test Caleb by asking a few questions. She began to ask questions and he can't lie about them, until the fourth question asks him, if she doesn't pass the test. Do Nathan destroys her? Caleb doesn't have an answer because he doesn't know what Nathan's mind is for when Ava doesn't pass the test. Ava pasted the painting that Nathan had torn and shows to Caleb, which was Caleb's picture. Then Ava turns off the power again. And she tells him that she wants to be with him, and asks, Caleb, does he want to be with her? Then Caleb talks to Nathan about Ava, why he built it. Nathan says, no reason, it was accidental. Which had to fall. Then he says that with the next version, Ava will be destroyed, and it's a natural occurrence. It's to build better versions. Caleb tries drunk Nathan until he falls asleep and doesn't notice anything. He picks up his key and goes to his room and connects to the main computer and changes its programming. Then he sees all of his archives during the construction of the pre-Ava copies, that he locked them in the same room. And they beat themselves up against the walls until they are destroyed. Then he goes to another part of Nathan's room. He sees the previous versions which have been destroyed in a way. Kyoko is there, she peeling off his skin as well. Caleb realizes she's also part of Nathan's experiments. A girl who can't speak, and only Nathan's servant and is considered her sex doll. Nathan wakes up, and when he sees that there is no one, he goes to his room. But the remains of drunkenness is on him. When he arrives in his room, he realizes he doesn't have the key card. He falls to the ground. Caleb leaves his room, and the chance that he didn't notice anything, he handed him the card and said he was lying on the ground. At night, Caleb was constantly thinking about what he saw from Kyoko until he cut his hand with a razor blade. To make sure he isn't an artificial intelligence machine. Naturally, he's having panic attacks. The sixth session, at the very beginning of their speech, where Ava speaks of her concern for him. Caleb tells him that she must cut off the electricity to tell her something. When she cuts off the power, he tells him that she must cut off the electricity tonight at 10 o'clock. He gets Nathan drunk and goes to his room and changes the security system that when power cut off, the doors get open instead of being locked, and then they can leave together. Caleb tries to find some way to get Nathan drunk, but tells him there's a lot going on lately. He won't drunk anymore. Nathan tells him that maybe Ava pretends to like him in order to get rid of him. The way he can escape, then Caleb is taken to his room and shows him a video that he rips up Ava's painting, because Ava painted him and she pasted the painting to show her love. In fact, he did the same distraction that Caleb had said. Then he shows that a battery-operated camera was connected there and has recorded their entire escape plan and realized it. Nathan tells him that the test was successful. The main test was that Ava convinced him to help for escape. Caleb was chosen, not because he was a smart guy, but because he didn't have parents, he didn't have girlfriend, and the most important, he was a good and honest man. Nathan using the Blue Book search engine in his operating system to program all his favorite things about a girl. And he made Ava look like someone Caleb was unwittingly attracted to, but the most important part was when Ava was able to deceive him. The power gets cut off. Nathan thinks he was able to stop him, but Caleb tells him that before he knows it, he did it the day before. Nathan sees Ava leaving her room when the light comes back. Ava sees Kyoko in the hallway and tells her something. Nathan punches Caleb to the ground. Nathan picks up the mill of dumbbell and goes into the hallway and Ava. Kyoko has a knife in her hand. Nathan is trying to convince Ava to get back to her room, but she doesn't accept. They start fighting, and during fight, Nathan cuts off Ava's forearm by mill of dumbbell. And when he tries to get her back to her room, Kyoko puts the knife in his back and Nathan smashes him in the face with mill of dumbbell, causing her to fail, and when he comes back, Ava puts the knife in his heart. Seventh session, Ava goes to Nathan's room, and when Caleb wakes up, she tells him to stay here. She goes to the room of the previous versions of herself to take hand, skin and clothes from them to complete herself. From there, Ava leaves the room unnoticed by Caleb and locks behind her. Ava was just thinking about leaving. She exits and comes to the intersection full of people, and Caleb is locked up inside the house.